Do you ever feel like you're just going through the motions, playing by rules you never agreed to? I used to live like that, constantly worried about fitting in, pleasing others, and keeping up appearances. I thought that was just the way life worked, sacrificing my own needs for the sake of harmony and approval. But one day, I had a startling realization. Most of the social habits we're taught aren't designed to help us thrive. They're designed to keep us stuck, trapped in cycles that prioritize the comfort of others over our growth and freedom. If you've ever felt this way, it might be time to quietly eliminate some of these toxic social habits. It won't be easy, and it definitely won't be popular, but trust me, it will set you free. Social habit number 1, people-pleasing. Let's start with people-pleasing, one of the most ingrained habits we're taught. On the surface, it seems like a good thing: kindness, generosity, and being agreeable. But here's the hard truth. People-pleasing isn't kindness. It's self-sabotage wrapped in politeness. For years, I was a classic people-pleaser. I said yes to every request, smiled through every inconvenience, and bent over backward to keep everyone happy. I thought I was being generous, but in reality, I was putting everyone else's needs ahead of my own, at a huge cost to my well-being. The turning point came when I realized that this constant catering to others wasn't making anyone happier, not them, and certainly not me. It was exhausting, and worse, it led to resentment. I found myself frustrated with people who didn't even seem to appreciate my efforts. The more I tried to please everyone, the less respect I got in return. By always saying yes, I was essentially telling the world that my time, my energy, and even my self-worth were up for grabs. Eventually, I decided to flip the script. I started saying no when I needed to, without offering long-winded excuses or justifications. And you know what? The world didn't end. The people who truly cared about me respected my boundaries and even admired my newfound confidence. Yes, some people were shocked, maybe even offended, but their reactions revealed who was really in my corner. That's when I realized something important. People-pleasing isn't selfless, it's selfish. When you're constantly trying to keep everyone happy, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it to avoid discomfort, rejection, or confrontation. It's about protecting yourself, not about genuinely helping others. Once I understood this, I stopped trying to be everyone's best friend and started being my own. If you're still trapped in the cycle of people-pleasing, it's time to wake up. You're not a doormat, and your worth isn't measured by how much you can give to others. Break free from this habit, and you'll notice something incredible. The people who truly matter will stick around, while those who don't will quietly fade away. Life feels much lighter when you're no longer carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. Social habit number 2, holding grudges. Holding grudges is another toxic habit that keeps us chained to the past. I used to be an expert at it, clinging to every hurtful word or betrayal, convinced that my resentment was a form of justice. I thought that by holding on to my anger, I was protecting myself, keeping my guard up to avoid future pain. But the truth is, holding a grudge does far more harm to you than to the person who wronged you. It's like clutching a burning coal, hoping the other person will feel the heat, all while you're the one getting burned. There was a time when someone I trusted deeply betrayed me. I held on to that anger for years, replaying the scenario in my mind and imagining different outcomes where I got the last word. I thought that nurturing my grudge was a way to maintain control, but instead of feeling powerful, I felt burdened. The resentment weighed me down, keeping me stuck in the past. The grudge didn't keep me safe. It kept me from moving forward. Holding on to a grudge is like anchoring yourself in a stormy sea. You think it's keeping you steady, but in reality, it's pulling you under. The longer you hold on, the deeper you sink, until you realize that the only way to save yourself is to let go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or condoning what happened. It means choosing your peace over your pain. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about reclaiming your freedom. It's about saying, I refuse to let this hurt define who I am or how I live my life. When I finally let go of that grudge, it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I felt lighter, freer, and more in control of my emotions. I realized that holding on to anger wasn't protecting me. It was poisoning me. Forgiveness isn't about making the wrongs right. It's about making yourself whole again. Life is too short to carry the burden of resentment. By letting go, you create space for healing, growth, and true happiness. Social habit number 3, ignoring red flags. Another habit that keeps us stuck is ignoring red flags in relationships. We've all been there, stuck in a relationship where something feels off, but we convince ourselves to stay anyway. Maybe it's because we're afraid of being alone, or we believe things will magically improve with time. I've been guilty of this too, ignoring glaring red flags because I didn't want to face the truth. Ignoring red flags is like driving with your eyes closed. You're bound to crash. I once stayed in a relationship that I knew was toxic from the start. There were constant arguments, disrespectful comments, and a complete lack of trust. Instead of confronting these issues or walking away, I made excuses. It's just a rough patch, I told myself, or everyone has flaws. Maybe I'm overreacting. I wanted so badly for the relationship to work that I ignored every sign that it was doomed to fail. Red flags exist for a reason. They're warning signals that something is fundamentally wrong. Whether it's a lack of respect, consistent dishonesty, or behaviors that make you feel uneasy, these signs shouldn't be dismissed or downplayed. Ignoring red flags is a form of self-betrayal. It's choosing someone else's comfort or approval over your own well-being. When you dismiss those warning signs, you're telling yourself that your feelings, needs, and intuition don't matter. In my case, the relationship eventually imploded, leaving me to wonder why I didn't walk away sooner. The signs were there all along, but I chose to ignore them. That experience taught me an important lesson. Red flags don't disappear with time. They grow bigger and more destructive, turning minor issues into major crises. Ignoring them doesn't make them go away. It just delays the inevitable. Choosing to acknowledge red flags isn't easy, but it's a crucial act of self-respect. You deserve to be in relationships where you feel safe, valued, and heard, not ones where you're constantly on edge, hoping things will get better. By recognizing and addressing red flags early, you save yourself from unnecessary pain and heartbreak. These toxic social habits, people-pleasing, holding grudges, and ignoring red flags, keep us stuck in patterns that don't serve us. They weigh us down, sap our energy, and prevent us from living authentically. Breaking free from these habits requires courage and self-awareness, but the rewards are worth it. When you stop prioritizing others' expectations over your own well-being, let go of resentment, and trust your instincts, you create space for growth, happiness, and freedom. Change doesn't happen overnight, but small steps can lead to profound transformation. Start by setting boundaries, forgiving yourself and others, and listening to your inner voice. Life is too short to be spent carrying unnecessary burdens or staying stuck in situations that don't align with your values. You deserve better, and it starts with letting go of what's holding you back. When you start noticing red flags in a relationship, it's crucial to listen to them. These warnings are your intuition's way of protecting you and guiding you towards something better. Walking away from a relationship that shows clear red flags isn't easy, especially when you're emotionally invested. The pull to stay and hope for change can be strong, but ignoring these signs only leads to greater pain down the road. Choosing to leave isn't about giving up. It's about self-preservation and growth. It's about valuing yourself enough to prioritize your well-being over the fear of being alone or the hope that things will magically improve. I've been in relationships where red flags waved like banners, yet I convinced myself to stay. I made excuses, telling myself it was just a rough patch or that everyone has flaws. But deep down, I knew better. Each ignored red flag chipped away at my confidence and peace of mind. Over time, I realized that staying in a relationship that didn't honor who I was wasn't just a disservice to myself, it was self-betrayal. Recognizing red flags and acting on them is one of the most empowering decisions you can make. You're not just walking away from a bad situation, you're walking toward a better version of yourself. Ignoring red flags comes at a cost. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of hope and disappointment, draining your emotional energy. When you acknowledge those signs and take action, you're choosing yourself over the illusion that things might change. Relationships should uplift and support you, not make you question your worth. If you're in a relationship where red flags are waving, don't ignore them. Don't make excuses or convince yourself that you can fix everything on your own. Trust your gut, prioritize your mental and emotional health, and, if necessary, have the courage to walk away. Because in the end, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. You deserve to be in relationships where you're truly seen, respected, and loved. Staying silent on important issues. Staying silent on important issues is often seen as the easier path. It's a way to avoid conflict, keep the peace, and maintain the status quo. But here's the harsh truth. Silence in the face of injustice, wrongdoing, or moral dilemmas isn't neutrality, it's complicity. I used to believe that staying quiet was the right thing to do, especially when the stakes were high or the issues were divisive. I convinced myself that my voice wouldn't make a difference or that it wasn't my place to speak up. Over time, though, I realized that staying silent wasn't just a personal failing, it was a betrayal of my values and a disservice to the people around me. There was a time when I witnessed something profoundly wrong in my workplace. A colleague was being mistreated, their contributions ignored, and their dignity stripped away. I saw it happening day after day, but I kept my head down. I told myself it wasn't my fight, that someone else would step in, or that the situation would resolve itself. But it didn't. My silence became a heavy burden, a constant reminder that I had chosen comfort over courage. The longer I stayed quiet, the more I felt like I was compromising who I was. Staying silent on important issues isn't just a passive act. It's an active choice to let wrongs go unchallenged. When you stay silent, you're giving tacit approval to the very things you know are wrong. You're allowing injustice to persist, not because you agree with it, but because you're too afraid or too complacent to speak out. Silence doesn't protect you, it diminishes you. It locks you into a space where you're constantly compromising your values, swallowing your voice, and watching as things you care about fall apart. The cost of silence is high. It erodes your self-respect, damages your relationships, and allows harm to continue unchecked. Speaking up, even when it's uncomfortable, is a moral obligation. It's about being true to yourself and the principles you hold dear. Your voice matters, even if it's just one voice in a sea of others. Silence might shield you from immediate conflict, but it robs you of the chance to make a difference and to live in alignment with your values. Speaking out doesn't mean being confrontational or disrespectful. It's about being honest, direct, and courageous in the face of wrongdoing. Yes, there may be risks, backlash, criticism, or even personal loss, but those risks pale in comparison to the damage done by staying silent. I've learned that silence is rarely golden when it comes to important issues. Your voice is a tool for good. It has the power to challenge injustice, inspire change, and defend the vulnerable. When you stay silent, you let that power go to waste. But when you speak up, you're not just advocating for others, you're reclaiming your integrity and showing the world who you truly are. The next time you're tempted to stay silent, remember this: your voice matters. It can make a difference, even if it's just in one person's life. Don't let fear or complacency hold you back. Seeking constant entertainment. In today's world, entertainment is everywhere. With a simple click, we can immerse ourselves in endless streams of content: social media, TV shows, video games, and more. It's almost second nature to fill every spare moment with something entertaining. I'll admit, I've been caught in this cycle too. Whenever I had a free moment, I'd find myself scrolling through my phone, binge-watching the latest series, or diving into whatever viral trend was dominating the internet. It felt good in the moment, a quick escape from reality. But here's the uncomfortable truth: seeking constant entertainment is a subtle form of escapism, and it's slowly eroding our ability to face reality, think deeply, and live meaningful lives. The endless pursuit of entertainment keeps us distracted. It gives us an excuse to avoid uncomfortable emotions, difficult conversations, or the mundane but necessary aspects of life. Instead of addressing what's really going on, we drown ourselves in distractions. I realized this when I started feeling a persistent sense of dissatisfaction, even when I was surrounded by things that were supposed to make me happy. The more I sought entertainment, the less connected I felt, to myself, to others, and to the world around me. The problem with seeking constant entertainment is that it creates a cycle of dependency. The more you indulge, the more you need. It's like trying to quench your thirst with salt water. It leaves you craving more but never truly satisfied. This cycle can numb you to the beauty and challenges of real life. It robs you of the quiet moments where growth and reflection happen. It's in those still, unentertained moments that we come face to face with ourselves, our dreams, and our fears. Breaking free from this cycle isn't easy, especially in a world that thrives on keeping us hooked. But it starts with small steps: putting down your phone, turning off the TV, and allowing yourself to sit with your thoughts. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, even unsettling, but that's where the magic happens. In those moments of stillness, you begin to reconnect with yourself. You start to notice the little things: the way the sunlight filters through the trees, the sound of birds in the distance, the feeling of your own breath. These moments remind you of what it means to truly be alive. Seeking constant entertainment isn't inherently bad. We all need a break now and then. But when it becomes a way to avoid life, it's time to reassess. Real fulfillment doesn't come from endless distractions. It comes from being present, from facing life head-on, and from finding meaning in the quiet moments. So the next time you're tempted to reach for your phone or dive into another binge-worthy series, pause. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What could I be doing instead? You might be surprised by the answers. I remember days where I would drift aimlessly from one form of entertainment to the next, barely noticing the hours slipping by. It was far too easy to get lost in the endless sea of distractions, convincing myself that I was just relaxing or unwinding. But as time went on, I began to realize that what I was really doing was avoiding something far more important: my own thoughts, emotions, and responsibilities. The constant need for entertainment wasn't just a way to fill my time. It was a way to fill a void I wasn't ready to confront. Here's the controversial truth: seeking constant entertainment is a way of numbing ourselves to the realities of life. We turn to distractions to avoid boredom, discomfort, or even our own thoughts. But in doing so, we rob ourselves of the chance to grow, to reflect, and to truly experience life. Instead, we trade depth for fleeting pleasures that do little more than temporarily mask the gaps in our lives. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in silence without reaching for your phone or turning on the TV? When was the last time you allowed yourself to be bored, to sit with your thoughts and see where they take you? For many of us, the idea of being alone with our thoughts is terrifying, so we drown them out with endless entertainment. Yet in doing so, we miss out on something incredibly valuable: the opportunity to truly know ourselves, to confront the things that make us uncomfortable, and to find meaning beyond the distractions. I learned this lesson when I decided to take a break from all the noise. I went on a digital detox, cutting out social media, TV, and other distractions for a week. At first, it was incredibly difficult. I felt restless, bored, and even anxious. But as the days went on, something surprising happened. I started to reconnect with myself. I found time to think deeply about my goals, my relationships, and my purpose. I started reading books I'd been putting off, journaling my thoughts, and even enjoying the quiet moments. It was liberating. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't running away from life. I was fully present in it. The deeper message here is that constant entertainment isn't just a harmless habit. It's a barrier to personal growth, self-discovery, and meaningful living. When we fill every moment with distractions, we avoid the very things that could lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. We miss out on the richness that comes from introspection, creativity, and real-life experiences. There's nothing wrong with enjoying entertainment in moderation, but when it becomes a constant need, it's time to take a step back and ask ourselves what we're really avoiding. Is it the discomfort of being alone with our thoughts, the fear of facing our challenges head-on, the emptiness of a life lived on the surface? If you find yourself constantly seeking entertainment, challenge yourself to take a break. Spend time in silence, engage in meaningful conversations, pursue hobbies that don't involve screens, or simply sit and think. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's in those moments of discomfort that real growth happens. You'll find that life is much richer when you're not constantly running from it, and that true happiness comes not from distractions, but from living with intention and purpose. Stop filling every moment with noise and start embracing the silence. Let go of the need for constant entertainment, and you'll discover a deeper, more fulfilling way of living, one that isn't about escaping reality, but about fully embracing it. Another habit that quietly undermines us is oversharing personal details. In an age where social media invites us to share every aspect of our lives, it's easy to fall into the trap of oversharing. We've all seen it: a friend's long emotional post on Facebook, or someone airing out their relationship drama on Instagram for the world to see. I used to be guilty of this myself. I believed that sharing my struggles, opinions, and intimate moments with others, whether online or in person, was a way to connect, show authenticity, and build relationships. But here's the uncomfortable reality: oversharing personal details doesn't bring us closer to others. It often pushes them away, leaving us vulnerable in ways we might not have anticipated. When I first got into social media, I thought that being open about my life would make me more relatable and help others understand me better. I would post about my bad days, frustrations at work, and even the ups and downs of my relationships. At first, it felt liberating to be completely open and honest. But over time, I noticed something troubling. Instead of feeling more connected to others, I began to feel exposed and even judged. People I barely knew were weighing in on my life, offering unsolicited advice, or worse, using my vulnerabilities against me. The truth is, oversharing isn't about authenticity. It's often about seeking validation and attention at the expense of our privacy and dignity. When we overshare, we're usually looking for sympathy, approval, or reassurance from others, rather than dealing with our emotions in a healthy, private way. We might tell ourselves that we're being brave or open, but in reality, we're giving away pieces of ourselves to people who haven't earned that level of trust or intimacy. Oversharing also affects how others perceive us. While we might think that being open makes us more likable, it can have the opposite effect. Oversharing can make others uncomfortable, put them in awkward positions, or lead them to question our judgment and boundaries. It can even attract the wrong kind of attention from people who might exploit our vulnerabilities rather than support us. I learned this the hard way. Not everyone who listens to your story has your best interests at heart. The deeper issue with oversharing is what it does to our sense of self. When we habitually share personal details, especially in public forums, we outsource our emotional processing. Instead of taking the time to reflect on our experiences, understand our feelings, and decide what's truly worth sharing, we rush to put everything out there, hoping for instant feedback or validation. This not only diminishes the value of our experiences, but also prevents us from developing the inner strength and resilience that come from handling our emotions privately. The message here is clear. Privacy is a form of power, and oversharing is a way of giving that power away. Not every thought, feeling, or experience needs to be shared with the world. Some things are best kept to ourselves or shared only with those who've earned our trust and have a genuine interest in our well-being. By being more selective about what we share and with whom, we're not being secretive or dishonest. We're being wise. We're preserving our dignity, protecting our vulnerabilities, and maintaining control over our own narrative. This doesn't mean you should never open up to others. Sharing is an essential part of building meaningful relationships, but it's about finding balance, knowing when and where to share, and understanding that not every aspect of your life needs to be on display. The people who truly care about you will appreciate the parts of you that you choose to share without needing to know every detail. And those who don't, they don't deserve access to the most intimate parts of your life anyway. If you find yourself in the habit of oversharing, take a step back and ask yourself why. Are you seeking validation? Are you trying to fill an emotional void? Are you hoping that by putting everything out there, you'll find the connection or support you're missing? Once you understand the underlying reasons, you can begin addressing them in healthier, more private ways. In the end, the key to authentic connection isn't oversharing. It's being intentional about what you share and with whom. It's about recognizing that your personal details are valuable and that not everyone deserves access to them. By setting boundaries around your personal life, you're not closing yourself off from others. You're ensuring that the relationships you do have are built on a foundation of mutual respect, trust, and genuine understanding. And that's far more valuable than the fleeting satisfaction of oversharing. These habits, whether it's seeking constant entertainment or oversharing personal details, are subtle chains that hold us back. The reason I advocate for quietly eliminating them is simple. True growth doesn't need an audience. Real transformation happens in the silent moments, when you're not seeking validation or approval, but simply aligning with your values. When you let go of these habits one by one, quietly and confidently, you'll find your life becoming simpler, more meaningful, and deeply fulfilling.